Hey guys, it's CJ and we are back for the third and final installment of our Real Housewives of Potomac season 5 reunion. First, let me say I hope that everybody has had a very safe and happy holiday. I know this time of year could be rough for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, but we made it through one holiday. And we have New Year's Eve and New Year's, and then we will be on to 2021. Now, before we get started with our review, as always, make sure that you thumbs up this video. Also, subscribe to my channel so that you're here for all of the other content that I plan on putting out in the upcoming year. I plan on adding a few more videos just so that we could discuss and talk about, because Real Housewives of Potomac will be done. I may continue to review Housewives of Atlanta. Not sure yet. I'm just not getting what I need from them this season. But we're not here for that. We are here for the topic at hand, which is part 3 of the Housewives of Potomac. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so we pick up where we left off on the last reunion with Candace getting upset and walking off stage because Andy made, mention to Monique that she kind of seemed a little unemotional about what was going on or the discussion about the fight. And she left stage. She went backstage to get her makeup, touched up. And Chris was back there, Candace's husband. And he was kind of consoling her and encouraging her to, you're going to get touched up. You're going to go back out there. You don't need to let this woman have that kind of control over you. We're going to get through this. We're going to go have dinner, and then we're going to get rid of these cameras, and we're going to go home and do other things. He was just trying to make his wife smile, which he did make her smile. She appreciated that moment, and she kind of got, her wits about her, and then she went back on stage and she apologized to everybody. So after she sat back down, but in the meantime, Monique was still trying to explain why she was unemotional at this point. And when Candace came in, she sat down and they kind of stopped that conversation. Now, Candace apologized for leaving, I guess. And so she sat back down. Now, I guess a viewer asked a question, and a good question. This was something that we all wanted to know. He asked if Monique was unintentionally, not invited to events by the women because they didn't want her there, or was this production's way of punishing her? Now, I think that this should have been, a question that Andy himself could have helped answer, but instead he just turned it over to the ladies. And most of the ladies were saying, I'll say Wendy said her daughter's sip and see was like the very next event after the fight. And she didn't want that to be the event where the two ladies met up for the first time. So I can absolutely understand that. It looked like she put a lot of money and a lot of time in that, and she didn't want them tearing up her stuff, which I can understand. And then, where else were we? Oh, and they talked about, the legal action. Did anybody think that was taking it a little too far? And Robin, who I have said, times before, Robin is very reasonable when Robin is thinking for Robin, and Robin isn't really Giselle's, I guess, sidekick. Robin said she did think that legal action was taking it a little too far. And Giselle also thought that jail time was a little too far, but she felt like something needed to happen to Monique, perhaps an ankle bracelet or something, but no jail time. And they keep saying, because she has kids, and Candace wanted to know what she thinking about her kids when she lost control during this fight, and which obviously she wasn't, but I don't know who is really thinking about that in the heat of that moment with all that was going on, if that were to happen. But I don't know. I haven't been in any kind of scuffles like that, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Now, they also talk about the countersuit that Monique filed against Candace, and Candace just thinks that it was just absolutely absurd. It was just ridiculous for her to do so. But I don't really know too many people who would just lay down and let someone sue them and not, get legal, a lawyer themselves and try to fight back. But I don't fault Monique for doing that. If someone tried to sue me for any reason, I'm going to weigh my options. I'm going to seek a lawyer and I'm going to see what I need to do not to be sued. So I just think it's crazy for anybody, whether it be Candace, whether it be the man up the street, anybody who thinks that they're going to be able to sue somebody and they're just going to let them sue them. I never understood that part. I understand why you would sue because of everything that's happening with the online incidents and, the people coming at you and laughing and threatening and whatever. But I don't think that you expected her to just lay down and take it. But anyway, and Andy asked, Candace what she meant when she told Ashley that the Samuels were playing her, because we know Ashley helped Monique with the statement. She wrote a character statement against Candace for the butter knife incident. And so now we're at the point where he kind of wants Candace to delve into what she meant when she told Ashley that the Samuels, Monique and Chris, were playing her. And Candace says that they were out or they were at a dinner or something, and that basically the Samuels were talking cash money crap about the Darbys, Ashley and Michael. Now, Ashley didn't say whether or not she believed what Candace was saying, and she probably did believe what Candace was saying, but she said that she felt that when she needed Monique to be a friend to her, Monique proved that she was a friend to her. So them, I guess, talking crap about she and her husband or about her, it really didn't matter to her anymore at that point. And we know that Ashley, that's just how Ashley is. She may bring it back up, a season later, just like, she did with Candace, making fun of her or ridiculing her for drinking while trying to get pregnant. But I don't know. We'll see. Now, then Monique says that nothing that Candace did warranted her fighting her. What she says is when she went to her therapist, they kind of unpacked some issues and figured out that Monique's father, I guess, when he would try to ridicule or get onto her, he would put his finger in her face. And she saw that as a form of bullying. And so when she and Candace were in each other's face and Candace was doing the, stuff, and she kept telling Candace, get your hand on my face, I guess from what she says, that took her back to that time. And she felt bullied and attacked, and she reacted in a way that she knows that she shouldn't have. But she admitted that nothing that Candace did warranted those actions, and that she does apologize for what she did. So now it's Candace's turn to accept the apology, but instead, Candace acknowledges Monique's childhood trauma, and she could understand how that could have been a triggering effect. However, she says it has been 365 days. you had a whole year to talk to me and to apologize, and it hasn't happened. So basically, she did not accept the apology, and she instead took her phone out and she read the lyrics to the song that Monique has been promoting on social media called Drag Queens. And there were a few parts in there that, I mean, and anybody with 2 ears and a brain can understand that this song is referenced to their incident. And so Candace just feels like it was like an extremely low blow and that she's not sorry for what she did. Monique says that her therapist actually encouraged her to write a letter to Candace, Monique's therapist. I don't know whose name I said, but anyway, she said, write a letter to Candace, and she didn't think that a letter was appropriate. So instead, she wrote a song. And we all know from when Monique was introduced to us originally that she told us that she was a rapper. So she wrote songs, and this was her way of, I guess, healing from this incident. Andy tells her that he believes that her therapist gave her bad advice. Now, the therapist suggested a letter. The therapist did not suggest a song, but she allowed Monique to use her creative outlet to write a song. So I think Andy was out of line for saying that licensed therapist was wrong, but I don't know. Andy clearly has a stick up his butt, and I think it's because he was angry at Monique from last week, what she said about basically this little check ain't doing nothing. Chris still got money, but we'll see. Okay, so now we're to the part where we revisit Karen's vow to remain neutral between both parties, both Monique and Candace, and how that made, I guess, both of the ladies feel with her not choosing a side and trying her hardest to remain neutral between the both of them. Now, we also talk about the wig shift party and the conspiracy behind that, or the double booking conspiracy, as they like to say. Well, when Andy asked who believed that Karen was more supportive of Monique than Candace, surprisingly, nobody else raised their hands but Candace and Ashley. Candace and Ashley both raised their hands. I guess they thought that Karen showed Monique a little more support than she did Candace during this ordeal, which was very weird for Ashley. Ashley, we saw her kind of flip towards the end of the season, more so away from Karen than she had been, the entire season. But when Ashley, Karen said that she indeed held Monique accountable. It's just that a lot of what she told Monique was off camera. And Monique also agreed. Monique said that, I don't know why people think that Karen didn't talk to me. Karen did, get me together. She said, a few things on camera, but she got me together off camera as well. And of course, everybody thinks that, yeah, you're just saying that now. But she, Candace said that she was hurt about that statement that Karen made about her feelings when, who was it, Robin? I guess Robin asked Karen, have your feelings changed towards anybody now, after this fight? Has your feelings changed towards, one of the parties? And when Karen said, yeah, well, Candace didn't know that Karen was referring to her. I guess she was saying that Robin and Giselle were the culprits of this fight, and about the whole glass wielding incident. They were saying that Robin and Giselle started this. And so Candace brought up that she sent a text to Karen, and I guess in the text she told Karen to burn in hell for pushing this notion that Robin and Giselle were the culprits of this incident, that they were sort of the fire starters of this. And since she did that, Karen went to Bravo to have her reprimanded and or fired because of what she did. Karen says this is totally not like Candace to tell me to burn in hell and that she wasn't herself. And so Candace said, well, yeah, I did tell you to burn in hell because you're trying to push this notion and it's not true. But Karen said that Candace made her feel threatened, telling her that. And so she wanted, I guess, Bravo to do something about it. And so Karen, in typical Karen fashion, she and Candace, they get into this heated exchange, and Candace is telling Karen that she doesn't care about her. She doesn't care about this situation. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been straddling the fence on choosing a side. Basically, she wanted Karen to choose her side. And Karen tells us, well, she, in Karen fashion, she says, we have got to stop tearing each other apart. And no, I do not, I'm not sorry for contacting your boss about how you were behaving. And Andy agrees that, obviously the two of them care about each other and they probably need to take a step back to assess some things and get their friendship back on track. So after that, they go to a break because they're getting ready to bring the husbands out. So the husbands are entering the stage. We see Ray, we see Chris, Candace's Chris, and we see Monique's Chris, and we see Eddie, Wendy's husband. So they have a little haha moment because Chris is standing in front of Candace, and he, gives her a kiss and he asks her, is she okay? She says she's fine. And he asks her basically, did she want a sip of his drink? Because he had like a drink in his hand. And as she was doing it, she noticed his fly was unzipped. So she tells him, zip your fly, and so she's zipping his fly and Giselle sees it. And they have like a hee ha ha kind of moment. And so you can tell that Chris Samuels, when he comes to the stage, he is on 10. Like, he is not there for the formalities. He's not there for play. He is there to get down to business. He sat down and they're talking. Andy's trying to make small talk and he's asking them if they saw that special, The Last Dance, about Michael Jordan that came on ESPN. I think it was like a 4-part special or something like that. I don't know. But he asks, and Robin makes mention, well, Juan played with Jordan, his last season, I guess, when they were playing for the Wizards. And he asks Chris Samuels if he saw the show, I guess. And Chris is like, no, I was too busy watching lies being spread about my wife. And so you could tell like tension just like came to the roof immediately. And everybody was just like, oh shit, it was kind of crazy, but he was hot and he was not here for play. So now we kind of catch up briefly with the husbands, and Chris, is his last name Dillard or Bassett? I'm guessing it's Dillard. I'm not sure. Candace's husband, he says that they sold the restaurant, and Monique's husband says that he made a compromise with Monique and the kids for them to get T'Challa. Ray is enjoying Karen. Andy asks where the missing husband and boyfriends are. He asks where Juan is, and Robin says he's at basketball practice. Jamal is lecturing. We know Ashley said earlier that Michael was at a wedding. And Eddie says, who is present, says that he initially thought his wife, she was out of her mind for wanting to go on a show like this. He was asking her, was she sure about it? And he knows that she's got that YOLO mentality, so she was going to do it anyway. And he also tells us that he still hasn't talked to his family because that was, I guess, a piece of their storyline. His family not wanting anything to do with Wendy's family, I guess, because they came from different sides of the track or whatever it was. They didn't spend a lot of time on it, so we can't really delve into it, but he still hasn't talked to him, bottom line. Ray says that he thought it was funny when he heard that Karen wanted her money back for helping him with his tax problems, because Karen sure didn't have a problem with spending all of the money over the years that she spent for whatever she wanted. And, basically he never told her no. She had, access to all kinds of money. And so he thought it was laughable that she said that she wanted her money back. And I guess when she finally came to, she realized, okay, Ray has done more than his share, for me and my lifestyle. So yeah, I probably was tripping by saying that I wanted my money back or whatever. But Chris says that he and Candace, they're enjoying their new home. Candace says that they have christened every room in the house. And Chris Samuels, he apologized about the fellatio comment, I guess because he learned that the women were grossed out or offended by it. He apologized for anybody that he may have offended at the lake house when he did the gesture with the champagne bottle and Monique and fellatio or whatever. Wendy's just said that, Eddie wouldn't be allowed to do anything like that. He wouldn't do that. She wouldn't let him ever say or do anything like that amongst their friends or whatever. But we also learned that Giselle brought yet another security guard with her at this reunion, like she did at the meeting with Monique, because of what Chris said over the summer. We all recall, it was all over social media. Chris and Monique sat down. Chris wanted to address this plot that the ladies were cooking up against his son, against the paternity of his son. He didn't address the affair, I guess, that they were trying to put in place between Monique and the trainer. But he did say that there were lies being told about his son not being his. And he was very pissed off about it. As a matter of fact, he did make mention of he wished he could turn into Bruce Jenner and slap the shit out of all of them or something. But since he can't, he something, and then something about stomping the shit out of him. But I guess Giselle is shook up by that. And so she brought another security officer. But they ended up, I guess it got a little heated on stage. People started talking over one another, and he wanted to really get his words out. He had been waiting, months to be able to address these women. And everybody is talking. Robin's talking. Giselle is talking. And so he stands up, and Giselle motions and tells her security officer he needs to make him sit down. Okay, so they're still arguing, and Candace's Chris says that the Samuels support a blogger who went after him and his children, because we learned this season, because I always thought that Chris only had one child, but I guess he had more than one child, and we kind of saw that this season. I didn't know that. I don't know if anybody else knew that just from watching the show. We learned certain things from social media and other platforms, but just watching the show, I don't recall them saying, I knew he had a son, but I didn't recall them saying that he had like a daughter too or something. If I'm wrong, leave it in the comments. I'm not quite sure about that story, but the Samuels said, that y'all are reaching, that's a lie or whatever. And so Candace says she does admit that, yes, a conversation did happen at Andy's baby shower regarding the paternity of Chase, which is Monique and Chris's son. But anybody that looked at him could tell that that child is Chris's, and that story was absolutely absurd. So she says here that she didn't bring it to Monique. And she says if she went to the other person for every time something was said about the other person, they would be there for 3 days alone, just discussing everything that they heard about the other person. And Andy again says that the story of the baby's paternity wasn't brought up on the show. Monique says it was brought up, it just didn't air. And so we go and we see the scene when Giselle, I guess she was going to the lake house. I guess she was going to the lake house. I forgot where they were going, but she came to Monique's house. And when she came in, you know, she saw Chris, and Chris was like, "Oh, is this your first time seeing Chase? He looks just like me, doesn't he? He looks just like his dad, doesn't he?" And so Giselle was like, "Yeah, who else would he look like, Chris?" And so I guess she thought that that was the green light for them to introduce this rumor about the trainer into their actual storyline or into the show. But if I recall, I thought she made the comment about her getting a little too comfy with the trainer. I don't know if she said that before or after the trip to the lake house. This season, it just lasts longer and longer and longer to me, and I start getting events mixed up. But anyway, we see some unseen footage where Giselle and Robin are talking, and Giselle, you know, brings up the fact that she tells Robin how Chris kind of approached her about the baby looking like him. And so she says, I don't understand why he came at me like that when I've known this stuff all this time and I haven't said anything, despite all the rumors that are going around the streets of Potomac that baby is not his and the baby is the trainer's. All right, so Chris apologizes again, and Giselle wants to know why this big motherfucker is still here, and well, why he's here. Well, because all the husbands are there and boyfriends are there. Giselle, why is Jamal not there? That's the better question. Why isn't he there to defend you or to speak, you know, up on your behalf, or, you know, for defend your honor? Because he's lecturing. Like, that lecture was so important that he couldn't take a day off to come and be there with you. As the other husbands also, I mean, y'all do this every season. This is nothing new. They could have been there. They should have been there to defend their ladies. But anyway, Andy says that he can finally stop asking Robin when she and Juan are going to get married because they're engaged now. We saw, you know, a little, I guess, recap of all of this. We see a clip of Karen getting cut out of the embellished hat campaign. We saw the proposal, and we also saw the little altercation between Chris and Michael during the season finale. Robin says that she and Juan, they plan to have a small destination wedding somewhere, and that they just pulled permits to have their new home built. Now, they asked Robin, wasn't it a bit hypocritical of her to go so hard at Karen that season that she and Ray were having tax issues when she seemed to have magically forgot about her own? You know, Robin kind of hem-hawed around with the answer. She didn't really give. She claims that she knew about them. She just put the papers in a folder and put it to the side and forgot about it. But she tells us that during the season that she forgot to report income. So which one was it? I like Robin, but I think she was full of shit on that. And she should have just said, yeah, it was hypocritical of me to call her out. And I guess karma came back and bit me in the butt because now I'm dealing with the same issue. But she says that all the tax problems are cleared up, that is over. And they ask Ashley what Michael knew when he kept alluding to the fact that, oh, Juan is not going to marry Robin or whatever. And she says that he didn't tell her anything. If he knows something, he didn't tell her. And somehow Chris and Robin began to argue about this. And Robin just starts yelling out, I'm glad Juan Dixon is not here. I guess she's saying that Juan would have beat him up if he was there, or tried to beat him up, or I'm not sure, but he should have been there. That's my point. He should have been there. He knew that you had this much heat on you from, you know, the comments that Chris made over the summer. As a man, as your man, he should have been there. And the same with Jamal Bryant. I mean, you are from Baltimore and you had so much to say on this clapback from Monique. Like, you know, you're about that life. Why weren't you there supporting your woman, your girlfriend? Anyway, Monique starts going after Giselle and Candace because they're kind of chiming in, saying little stuff on the side. She tells Candace to mind her business, and she tells Giselle also, you know, that's why you don't have a man, or you don't have a man sitting behind you today. So basically, shut up. All right, so we see Chris. He exits the stage. He says this is just too much for him. He leaves, and Andy addresses the comment that Michael made to Juan after the engagement about the two of them going to Vegas for his bachelor party, you know, no cameras and just the two of them. And we have all kind of alluded and made reference to Michael's, I guess, fondness of Juan. He always talks about how much he loves Juan and whatnot. So it was kind of funny for him to say that. And Robin thought it was weird too. Ashley says that Michael, she has an excuse for everything that Michael says or does. And she said that he said it because I guess one time he and Juan were having a conversation about going to Vegas. So that was why Michael referenced the two of them going to Vegas. But that was strange. Anyway, Chris, we talk about why Chris was so hyped up when Michael came to him and told him he needed to control his wife. Because Chris said that he doesn't tolerate disrespect towards women, and that Michael has a history of disrespecting women. And we have seen Michael in the past and the things that he has said, whether it had been towards Monique. I think he said something about Giselle. I'm not sure, but he has said disrespectful things to the women. And so Chris was over it and he was ready to beat his ass. So then both Chris's say that it sucks that their friendship was collateral damage of the altercation between Candace and Monique, but they have to ride with their wives at the end of the day. They will always have respect for one another. And it does suck because you saw that the two of them were, you know, pretty tight. And if the wives fall out, y'all can't be tight anymore. But it is what it is. Ray asks, you know, Robin to make sure that she lets him know when she and Juan are getting married, because he and Karen will be celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary soon, and he wants to have a wedding for that. Karen got all emotional. She got up and hugged him and she was crying. I don't know if this was a surprise to her as well, but she was pretty, you know, emotional about it. Chris Samuels also got emotional because he thanked his wife for kind of remaining so strong during all of this and doing what she had to do to protect their child, to protect their son. And so he starts crying and she gets up and hugs him. And you hear, you know, Candace and Giselle and everybody else just thinking that they're just so full of shit and all this other stuff. But I don't know, that they could have did without all the extra comments and everything. But all right, so the husbands are dismissed. Andy lets us know that they've been there for 11 hours filming this reunion, which probably explains why this recap is going to be so long. And Wendy, he asked everybody what they learned this season. Wendy says that she learned that because of her background, that the way that she orates could kind of come off as strong, and that she's going to work on that. I guess she's going to work on her delivery. And Robin says that she feels like her life has come full circle on the show. Ashley is the happiest that she's ever been in life. Giselle says that nobody can tell her the ins and outs of her relationship with Jamal, who lives in her phone. Monique got what she needed from this and is happy where she is. Candace says that her goal was to get here to this day, which was the day of the reunion. and that she loves the majority of the group. I'm sure minus Monique, and is here for the sisterhood. Karen says that none of them are perfect and that they have all been broken into pieces, and that she wants new beginnings for all of them. And they do the Wendy slither into season 6, and that is the end. I know this is going to be terribly long. I do apologize, but this was a long episode. Anything that I forgot, and I know I did forget a lot, I tried to condense it as much as I could. Leave it down in the comments. Y'all know, y'all discussed quite a bit in the last video, and I appreciate everybody. Even though some of the comments were a little out there, it's okay. As long as we remain respectful, I'm here for it all. And again, I'm CJ. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I am out, and y'all have a great upcoming week. Peace.